Lights, leaks, and leans, okay? I'm going to tell you about my clearance lights up there. I'm going to tell you about my side markers, and these are a multifunctional bulb. They're your running lights. These are also what?
Blinkers.
And signals, right? So my signals, my four ways, my running lights, my marker lights, and my clearance lights are secured. They're clean, they're clear, they're not cracked or damaged, in proper color.
For their location.
Amber for its location, right? Then I'm going to tell you that my left and my right headlight are secured. They're clean and clear. They're not cracked or damaged. Proper color for their location is white or clear. I'm going to tell you that underneath I see no visible leaks of any kind, right? Down here, I'm also going to tell you that it's not leaning left or right or front to back, okay? Do not put your foot right here because you're going to snap some toes. Put your foot down here and just gently pull the hood, okay? Come on over here. We're going to go through the fluid check, all right? There's 3 fluids that they're asking you to look at. One of them is your coolant reservoir right here. Coolant reservoir it's got a sight glass, and I can see that it's above the refill line. And my coolant reservoir is securely mounted, right, with nuts and bolts. It's not cracked, damaged, or leaking. I'm going to tell you about my engine oil. There's my engine fill. Here's my engine oil dipstick. Now, they're not expecting you on test day to pull it out, wipe it off, put it in, and then give them a reading. Just tell them that you would check it that way, okay? I'm going to ensure that this is above the refill mark as well. Also going to tell you about, what's that right there?
Power steering.
That's my power steering reservoir, okay? It's got a sight glass like the coolant reservoir, and it's above the refill line as well. If this was not a sight glass, how would I check it? With the dipstick, okay? It's above the refill line. Because it's got fluid in it, it's not cracked, damaged, or leaking as well, okay? So both of these are securely mounted, they're not cracked, damaged, or leaking, and both are full. And this is above the refill mark as well. Now I'm going to tell you about my hose overview, all right? My turbo hose, my lower radiator hose, my power steering line, my lower power steering line are all connected with these clamps, all right? Your hoses are going to have either clamps like this, we're going to have couplings and fittings, okay? One of the two. And every hose has what running through it?
Air.
Or fluid
Fluid.
of any kind, right? Coolant, power steering. That's your oil. This is your brake line, so that's your air that's running through there. So any hose with a clamp like that, there's no looser missing clamps, and hoses like that are not cracked, damaged, leaking, worn, frayed, okay? Then I'm going to tell you about my steering lines. These are my steer lines, and these have couplings and fittings. So my couplings and fittings are tightly sealed and seated, and none of my lines are cracked, damaged, or leaking. Okay? There's my steering lines. There's my fluids, couplings and fittings. All of my clamps are present, not loose or missing as well. Let's move down to your steering components. This is my steering gearbox right here, securely mounted to the frame. It's not cracked, damaged, or leaking. Because it's securely mounted, there's no loose or missing nuts or bolts on that, okay? Now you could say hardware, and if I'm the examiner, I would accept hardware because I know what you mean. There's one that may not accept that, because what does your sheet say? Nuts and bolts, not hardware. So again, there's your
Don't forget the cotter keys.
steering gearbox, right? It's not cracked, damaged, leaking, securely mounted, no loose or missing nuts or bolts. And then you're going to tell me about the 5 parts of your steering, okay? This is your pitman arm. So my arms, my links, my rods, which is what I call the steering knuckle. So my arms, links, rods. This is also your rod that goes all the way from tire to tire. That's a rod. And this is a rod right here, okay? So my arms, links, rods, my joints. See how that's joined together on the top? My joints. And my 2 sockets right here, these are called castle nuts. It's got a cotter pin. So my arms, rods, links, joints, and my sockets are all securely mounted. They're not cracked, bent, damaged, worn, or loose. And I've got no loose or missing nuts or bolts, and there's no missing cotter keys or pins, okay? So that's all 5 components. And you're gonna tell them also that from my steering gearbox to the wheel, my arms, rods, links, joints, and sockets are secured. They're not cracked, bent, worn, damaged, loose, or missing. No loose or missing nuts or bolts or cotter keys or pins. So that's a lot of verbiage, right? So that's complete on that. So let's move down to the suspension parts. Okay, right here is your spring mount. Back over here is your spring hanger. All right, so that's a spring hanger, spring mount. My spring mount and my spring hanger are securely mounted. They're not cracked, bent, damaged, loose, or missing. Then I'm going to tell you about my springs right here. Okay, you got to have at least 2, up to 4. You can't have less than 2. So both of my springs are not BBSM. They're not bent, broken, missing, or shifted. All right, or damaged in any way. Then I'm going to tell you about my shock absorber right here. My shock absorber is securely mounted. It's not cracked, damaged, or leaking. I'm also going to tell you that the back 2 axles back there have airbags. Okay, my airbags are the same condition verbiage as the shocks, which are what?
Not
Securely mounted, not cracked, damaged, leaking.
pretty mounted, not cracked, damaged, bent, broken, or leaking.
I'm a proponent of that because you kind of throw everything out of component, right? Because of your sheet's kind of confusing. Some things are not broken, some things are not damaged, but they're very rarely broken and damaged at the same time, according to your paperwork, right? So if you say more than you need to, they're not going to mark you down. But if you miss something that's on your sheet, then they're going to mark you down, right? So if you say just a little bit more than you need to, that's fine, okay? So once again, where was I? On the
Airbags in the
airbags
back.
and the shocks. Shocks and airbags, I would call from up here. They're securely mounted, not cracked, damaged, or leaking. That's it. That's pretty much it. Okay. So we've done the fluids. We've done the hose overview. We've done all the steering components, right? We did the spring mount, the spring hanger. We've done the springs. We've done the shocks and the airbags. Now I do the leaks from up here. There's no visible leaks, but on your sheet, this is where you do it. So once again, in case you didn't do it up here, or in case you want to say it again, there's no visible leaks from the engine bay. There's nothing on the ground, okay? And you're also going to tell them here, but I say it up front that there's no leans to the left or right or front or back, okay? And then where should we go after that? The brakes? Let's do the brakes. So here's your brake line. You follow that brake line right there. That's your coupling and fitting. So this hose doesn't have clamps, does it? It has couplings and fittings. Okay, so the coupling and fitting is seated and sealed properly. And then you're going to tell me the condition of this brake line or brake hose, which is it's not cracked, damaged, leaking, worn, frayed. And the most important verbiage on this is what does that line do?
It's for your brakes.
It does what?
It holds pressure and operates the brakes.
It provides air to the braking system, right? So those are your air brake line, okay? So your brake hose supplies air to the brake system, okay? To the brake chamber actually right there. All right? And then I open this wheel up like this, and it opens up the whole bay. It's easier to see everything like that. And then you're going to tell me about your brake drum and your brake liner. So put your phones in here real quick. This is your brake drum where the green light is. If you can see it. This is your liner. This is your drum. So your drum is on the outside. Your liner or pads are on the inside, okay? So my drums and liners are free of
Debris, oil, and grease.
or dirt, oil, and grease. Just think of it as a dog, okay? DOG or GOD, okay? Grease, oil, and debris, and which could affect braking capability. So it's free of debris, oil, and grease, or dirt, oil, and grease that could affect the braking capabilities, okay? So we're good on the brakes. Did I miss anything on the brakes? I don't think so. All right, so we'll move on to the tire. So the A, B, C, D, E's, let's say are ABCs. There's no abrasions, bulges, bumps, cuts, or damage to the inner or outer sidewall. Let's say it again. A, B, C, D's. Abrasions, bulges, bumps, cuts, or damage.
Abrasion, bulges, bumps,
Cuts,
and
damage. A, B, C, D's. And then the E is evenly worn tread. So the A, B, C, D, E's of the tire. No abrasions, bulges, bumps, cuts, or damage to the sidewall or the top of the tread. And then the E part is, this is evenly worn. If it's not evenly worn, you have a suspension problem or maybe a low tire or whatever, okay? Or it could be a steering component that's off, okay? I'm going to tell you about my tread depth, which on the steer tire can be no less than
432.
430 seconds.
430 seconds, but
measured with a tire gauge.
But if you just give me a number, he doesn't know that you know that it has to be a minimum of, right?
It has to be a minimum of no less than 430
Minimum
seconds.
or no less than 430 seconds up here. And how much back there?
Minimum
2:30.
of 2:30 seconds.
You got to say minimum of or no less than. So no less than 4:30 seconds up here, no less than 2:30 seconds on my two duals back there, on my dual axles back there. And how would I check the tread depth?
Tire gauge.
With a tread depth gauge.
Tread depth gauge.
Okay. It also says something about in all major grooves containing wear bars. These are your wear bars right here. I mean, these are all wear bars, but some of them will go this way, right? Lengthwise. So if your tread is all the way down to the wear bars, what is it time to do?
Change them out.
Replace the tires because you're too low, okay? So in all major grooves containing wear bars, what am I looking for? That you have a minimum of no less than 430 seconds up here. And how would I check it? With a tire tread depth gauge, okay? I'm also going to tell you about, turn to page 4 on there, and we'll talk about the tire.
What else is the tire anyway on page 4? Am I tripping?
5.
We were on 5. We just need to flip it over.
There's 5. Yeah, here's tire condition right here. All right, so one of those says about the in all major wear grooves containing wear bars. I already said that. And then there's another thing in there that everybody misses. What is it? What does it say on there?
Mismatched diameters.
Okay, so I didn't get to that yet,
Okay.
but let's
No.
talk about it. So if I'm driving down the road and I blow a drive axle tire, do I buy just one?
No.
I'm gonna have to buy both because you can't have a brand new one and a partially used one, right?
Yeah.
So that's what they mean about no mismatched diameters on the duals. But they're also talking about it here too, because if I blow a steer tire after you change your shorts because you just shit your pants after you blow a steer tire, believe me, it's happened to me. You're not gonna buy just one steer tire. You're gonna buy two, right? So there's no mismatched diameters on any tires really, okay? And then there's one more thing that it says about the tire.
Should inspect for proper tire inflation using a tire gauge?
No, not that. Keep going.
Okay. We're not talking about the wheels with the lug nuts yet.
No,
Out of round.
no, that's the rim.
Inspect for cuts and damage to exposed body plies. To the
Exposed
tire.
body plies. So what's exposed body plies?
It's the metal bits, isn't it?
Metal.
If you see a chunk of tread missing, then you're going to see those metal plies in there. Okay, you would see it in the sidewall too. So that's exposed body plies. These are your wear bars. Exposed body plies are that metal cable that runs through the middle of the tire. Okay, so there's no exposed body plies, which means it's time to replace the tire. Okay, and the other thing was the wear bars. All right, and then we're going to move on and finish the tire. And how do you finish the tire? Find the valve stem right here. So my valve stem and cap are present, accessible, which means that it's not hidden in the rim somewhere, right? So this has got the cap that will let you fill with the cap on, and so the valve stem and cap are present. They're in good condition. It's not bent, cracked, or damaged. And how would I check it?
With the tire pressure gauge.
Tire pressure gauge, right? Then we're on the rim. Here's your rim. The rim is not cracked, bent, or damaged. There's no weld repairs. Don't say that there's no illegal welds on the rim, because that would indicate that you could have a legal weld, and you can't. Okay, so there's no weld repairs on the rim. Then you're gonna tell me where the lug nut comes through the lug hole. There's no distortion. It's not elongated or out of round. So let's say that I had a loose lug and it was ovaling out that hole. That's distortion. Okay, and that's out of round. So you can't have distortion or elongated lug bolt holes right here. If you see gap or daylight right here, it's been ovaled out at some point. Okay, and that's a compromised rim. So getting back to the rim, it's not cracked, bent, damaged. There's no weld repairs on the rim. The lug bolt holes, it's not elongated or out of round. Then I'm going to tell you about all of my lug bolts are all present and they're tight. And if they were loose, what would I see?
You would see rust or
Rust trails or shiny threads. Okay? And lastly, there's no broken studs. Okay? So did I get everything? I got the inner and outer sidewall. What's the ABCDs?
abrasions. bulges, bumps, cuts, or damage, and then even wear across
Evenly,
the tire.
evenly worn tread
No
top.
exposed body
No
plies.
exposed body plies. And what's the
And
other one?
Wear bars in all major groups.
Yep, no exposed body plays, and in all major groups containing wear bars, I can have no less than or minimum of
A minimum of 430
up
seconds.
front, and how much back here?
A minimum of 230 seconds.
A minimum of 230 seconds back there, no mismatched diameters anywhere. Then we went to the valve stem cap, blah, blah, blah. Then we went to the rim. Then we went to the lug bolt holes. Then we went to the lug bolts themselves. Now, it says something on your sheet, I think, still about wedge wheels, okay? Wedge wheels, if you can imagine this rim being just an empty, hollow metal circle, okay? And then the hub comes through that metal circle, and then they have metal triangle pieces that bolt onto the rim itself. Those are wedge wheels, and they're against the law. They have been for years, okay? But every once in a while, somebody will show up on test day with a really old trailer, so you have to say that. But if you don't have it, then don't talk about it. In fact, I just scratch it off.
I don't think it's still on here.
Okay, then that's the brand new pre-trip. Okay, so let's move on. Is there any questions going forward? All right. It used to be the pre-trip was A card, B card, and C card. A card was all the way up to the steer tire, all the way up to the hub. Okay. B card started right here, and it was the whole rest of the truck, and C card was the trailer. Now it's just all one big pre-trip, starting with what?
Front of the vehicle.
The brake test.
Oh.
The brake test is part of the pre-trip, but that's the first thing that you do. You start with the brake test. So brake test, in cab, what else? Tug tests,
Truck test. Front of
rolling
the
stop. Examiner gets out and does the exterior light check. Then you get out, you do your overview, then you pop the hood, you do everything in the engine bay all the way to the tire. If you get everything 100%, that's 21 points of the 32 points you need. Okay? Now, what's the cushion for your pass rate on your pre-trip? You can miss how many and still pass?
vehicle. 5, 6.
10. Look on the very back page here. This is your check sheet, okay? There's 32 things to talk about. If you get everything 100% to the steer tire, that's 21 of the 32 things you need. That's where your money is, okay? Concentrate on getting everything perfect up to the steer tire. Because after the steer tire, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 11 more things to say. And if you get this 100% right, you're not going to miss more than 2 or 3, right? So they're going to. It's a guaranteed pass. Make sure that this is 100% to the steer tire. Okay. So any questions about the first part of this? Okay. Well, let's move on then. So starting with this right here. That was not working. This is your side marker, your running lights, your four ways, and signals, right? Side marker, anything that's plastic, like your clearance markers or glass, it's secured, first of all. Then it's clean, it's clear, it's not cracked or damaged, proper color, amber for its location, right? So you're done with that. Now we're on this. They like to get fancy with their terms. This is your traffic monitoring device. It's your mirror mount. That's all it is, okay? Just in case you miss the mirror from the inside, you can do it from out here. So my mirror is clean and clear, not cracked or damaged, properly adjusted to you from the inside, right? My mirror mount securely mounted, no loose or missing hardware or nuts and bolts on that. You no longer have to do the door. You no longer have to do the driver's steps. Now you're not testing with this one because this is a road truck, and this is where the battery box is. But on the truck that you're testing in, underneath this catwalk is where your battery box is. So all I want you to say, flip over to page 6 where it talks about the battery box. Maybe the bottom of 5. I think it's 6.
I think.
Battery box is secured. That's securely mounted. That's all you say. They're not expecting you to take the catwalk off and then the battery cover off just to look at the batteries, right?
No, it's on 5. Sorry.
It's on 5. So here's my battery box, and it's securely mounted. That's all you say. Because if you start talking about the cables and lines and corrosion and all that, and you miss something, then they're going to ding you a point for not getting it all. But on test day, they aren't going to have you deal with that. Just, that's my battery box and it's secured. So if I'm pre-tripping this truck, there's my battery box and it's secured, and then you move on, okay? I'm gonna tell you about my DEF tank. There's my diesel tank. Both of my tanks are securely mounted to the frame. Because it's got diesel and DEF fluid in it, it's not CDL, crack, damage, leaking. All right, I've got my DEF cap. I've got my diesel cap right here. They're present, they're tight, and they do not leak. I'm gonna also tell you that my DEF lines and my diesel tank fuel lines are secured and in good condition, and they do not leak. So I told you about my DEF tank and cap. I told you about my diesel tank and cap, and both of my fuel lines, right? Not crack, damage, or leaking. So let's move on from there. Okay? You don't have to talk about your reflective tape. You don't have to talk about the exhaust anymore. You don't have to talk about the frame anymore. You don't talk about the backup lights. You don't talk about the shocks back here. You don't talk about the airbags back here. So let's talk about
includes the frame.
Yeah, I'm not to the frame yet. You don't have to talk about the dummy hands or the safety bars, okay? So let's talk about what you do have to talk about. She mentioned the frame. So here's your tractor frame, right here. And here's your trailer frame, right here, the edge of the trailer, all right? And it's the same verbiage. So my power unit frame and my trailer frame are secure. They're not cracked, bent, damaged, bent. There's no loose or missing cross members on the frame here. No loose or missing cross members down here. That's what these are that go all the way side to side. Those are your cross members there, okay? And if this is your frame, cross member, what does that look like? Looks like a box. There's no holes in the box or cargo floor. So, my tractor frame and my trailer frame are secured. They're not cracked, bent, damaged. There's no broken welds as compared to a rim, which is no
Welds
No
at
weld
all.
repair.
no weld repairs. These are no broken welds on the frame, okay? So no broken welds, no loose or missing cross members, there's no loose or missing cross members down there, and no holes in the cargo floor, okay? So there's my two frames. Let's just say that this was your test truck. There's battery boxes secured. I've done my frame, I've done my tanks. Let's talk about your lines, okay? You got to talk about your power unit, so let's start with this. This is your electrical line. It's locked in place on the power unit, okay? Locked in place. My service line, my emergency line, couplings and fittings are seated and sealed. Both of my lines are locked in place. I'm going to come all the way over to the trailer side. My couplings and fittings are both seated and sealed on both of my lines. My glide hands are locked in place. My electrical unit or my electrical line is locked in place as well. And then I'm going to tell you about the condition. There's 15 things that you have to say on this. It's a lot. PTSD, you've all heard of that, right? PTSD. So follow along with me on this. 15 things for 1 point. They're not pinched. None of my lines are pinched. The T would be they're not taped, they're not tangled. S would be that they're sealed, they're seated, they're not spliced, and there's no steel braid showing through. D is they're not dragging on tractor parts, they're not damaged, they're not dangling. And then the 4 C's are they're not cut, crimped, cracked, or chafed. And then the W and L is worn or leaking. So 15 things for 1 point.
Did you get spliced?
I said spliced, yep.
Okay.
But let's just say that you missed one word on that. He's probably going to give it to you anyway. If you just get the PTSD and 4 C's, he's going to give it to you. Because there's 15 things to say, but the PTSD and 4 C's gives you 13 out of the 15, so he's going to give it to you. And that's an easy one to remember, PTSD and the 4 C's, okay? So to recap, PTSD, they're not pinched, they're not taped, they're not tangled, not twisted in any way. S, they're seated and sealed on the couplings and fittings, seated and sealed. They're not spliced, no steel braid showing through on the electrical. PTSD, they're not dragging on tractor parts or ground. They're not damaged in any way, and they're not dangling, okay? And what's the 4 C's?
Cracked, chafed, crimped, or cut.
That's it. And then W and L. Worn
Worn or leaking.
or leaking. I mean, the electrical can't leak, but the airlines
Sure
can.
it can. It's just really dramatic.
Yeah, they'd be on fire if they were leaking apparently. Okay, we good with that. Tractor frame we got, trailer frame we got, all of my airlines I got, battery box I got, the tanks I got. Okay. People forget about this up here. My clearance lights, markers, lenses, and reflectors. Okay, or covers, lenses, and reflectors are clean, clear, not crack damage. Proper color again is amber for its location. Most of your trailers will have a sticker, a reflective sticker, or an actual marker here, right? Whenever you come across it, you have to talk about it. So start with that up there. There isn't one here, but I do have DOT tape. DOT tape is clean, clear, properly affixed, okay? Now, because I did all the tires from that one axle up there, I don't have to go through every single axle again, because the only difference is what?
The amount of wear.
Is the tread depth.
Yeah,
Right?
that's what I meant.
But everything else is going to be the same. I'll check the rim the same way, the lug nuts the same way, the valve stem the same way. Everything's the same except for these. These are no less than 2/32. These can be recaps. Those cannot be recaps, right? But everything else is the same. So because I talked about everything up there, it saves you from going axle by axle, okay? I mean, if you wanted to do it that way, that's fine too. It just takes you a lot longer. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is the coupling system. LG Spark. LGSPARK. There's 7 things that you got to identify here. What's the L?
Lubrication.
Nope.
Landing gear.
Where the teeth of the skid plate come out, what comes down from the bottom of the trailer floor? Starts with K.
Kingpin.
Kingpin. So the L is in front of the kingpin, right? So the locking bar, or if you're in a sleeper cab, you got locking jaws that go around the kingpin, right? So the L is the locking jaws or locking bar fully surrounds the kingpin, and there's no play between the kingpin and locking bar. So there's your L. What's the G? The G. There's no gap or daylight right here, right? If there's a big gap, then you're either not coupled or you cranked it too high or whatever, right? So there's no gap or daylight between the skid plate and the bottom of the trailer, which is called the apron, okay? So there's your G. LG Spark. Spark would be the skid plate. That's this right here. Okay, the skid plate is securely mounted to the platform. So the skid plate can hold the weight of the trailer. The skid plate is not cracked, bent, damaged, loose, or worn. It's properly lubricated. And the trailer sits flatly on the skid plate. So there's the S. P is your platform. The A-frame looking thing is your platform. Securely mounted to the frame. Can hold the weight of the skid plate. It's also properly lubricated. It's not cracked, bent, damaged, loose, or worn. There's no missing nuts or bolts or cotter keys or pins on the platform. A is your apron. That's this bottom side of the trailer, right? That's that metal plate that goes all the way across. The apron is not cracked, bent, damaged, broken. I think that's it on that. Release handle is your R right here. That's your release handle. If that's touching the skid plate, it's engaged. So the release handle is in good condition. It's not cracked, bent, broken, or damaged. And the main thing is engagement. It's touching the skid plate. Okay. So K, take me through the K. Kingpin, right? It's not cracked, bent, damaged, loose, or worn. And then we already did the skid plate. So that's all 7 things.
What was P again?
P is the platform. That's this A-frame looking thing right here.
Okay.
Okay, that's your platform. And you'll notice that that's what holds the skid plate on, right? And then you got a bolt and a cotter key right there. Does your sheet still say safety latch on there at all?
Locking and safety devices.
Okay, so safety latch is not on either of the testing trucks.
If applicable, safety latch or lock is in place.
Okay, it doesn't have either one. But what it does have is locking pins. But you're not testing in this one. This doesn't have locking pins because it's got a different mechanism on this. This has like a channel, an inside channel that it slides on. So this is a slider, okay? The testing truck will have like, it looks like a chain, and pins go, the locking pins go through that chain, okay? So those are the locking pins they're talking about. But the safety latch is different. It's like a swinging latch that comes down like this, and neither one of the test trucks have them. Okay. So, what are the 7 things of your LG parks? What's the L?
Locking.
The locking bar.
Locking bar. What's the G?
Gap.
No gap or daylight. What's the S?
Skid plate.
Skid plate. What's the P?
Platform.
Platform. What's the A?
Apron.
Apron. What's the K?
R.
Kingpin.
Kingpin. And then one last thing. The 8th thing is that this is a slider.
Yeah.
Sliding fifth wheel. And because it's a slider, it's got to be in the proper position, which means it's slid all the way back so you can clear the landing gear and turns. So the 7 things that you're going to tell me about the coupling system is LG Parks, locking bar, no gap, apron, platform, release handle,
You skip the skid plate.
kingpin, and skid plate. So it's LG Parks or LG Spark, whatever you way,
Okay. Parts or spark.
whatever way you want to say it. Okay, so LG Spark or Parks. But those are the 7 things, and what's the 8th thing? It's a sliding fifth wheel,
Yep. Sliders all the way to the back.
all the way to the back position so it can clear the landing gear and turns, right? And then one other thing, there's no gap between your kingpin and your locking jaws or locking bar, okay? So we covered that. Let's move on to the landing gear. There's 4 things of the landing gear that you're going to talk about. You're going to talk about your support frame right here, okay? Support frame is not cracked, bent, damaged, loose, or missing. There's no loose or missing nuts or bolts on your landing gear in any way. The legs are fully raised. These are the pads or feet. They're in good condition and not crushed, bent, cracked, or damaged. The handle is stowed away. Okay? So what are the 4 things again?
Support bar.
Sport frame,
Support band.
landing legs,
Landing legs.
The feet. And then the nuts and bolts.
and no loose or missing nuts and bolts because this is securely mounted, right? All right, so there's the 4 things. We already talked about the DOT tape, right? Come on back. Remember I said whenever you come across anything like this is a side marker, your running light, okay? Clean, clear, not cracked, damaged, proper color for its location. Amber, but when you come all the way back here, this is your ABS light for the trailer. Remember I showed you on the dash, the light came on, there's a little L looking thing, that's the trailer ABS light, okay? And that's right there. So my ABS light's clean, clear, not cracked, damaged, proper color for its location is amber. Everything in the back is what color?
Red.
So my rear side marker, my clearance lights, my covers, my lenses, my reflectors, my tail lights, my brake lights are all clean, clear, not cracked, damaged, proper color for its location is red. I got my DOT tape on the trailer. You don't have to talk about anything from the bottom of the trailer down. So officially you're done, but I don't want to say you're done until you make one long walk up this side, because walking up this side you're going to remember something you missed. Okay, so did I call out the tail lights? Did I get the ABS light? Did I get the DOT tape? I did. Maybe I missed the shocks from the front or the airbags. Okay, maybe I missed that completely. Maybe I missed something on the landing gear. Anything, the crank handle, the pads or feet, or the support frame. Maybe I missed the airbags back here. Maybe I missed the clearance lights up here. Did I get my couplings and fittings? Did I get my glad hands? Did I get my electrical line? Did I get did I get all 15 things on this? Did I get my frame? Get my trailer frame? Let's just say that you get all the way up here. Somebody left the light on back there. And maybe you missed something from the inside. Maybe you missed the tug test. Maybe you missed the bulbs and fuses up there. Is it too late? It's not too late.
Because that's not part of the brake test.
What's too late? The brake test.
Yeah.
Or else you wouldn't even be out here, right? So let's say that I'm testing you and you missed the brake test or the rolling stop or tug test, right? If you just told me I completely forgot the brake test, I'm going to give you credit because you mentioned it, or I'll just have you do it and give you credit, right? But let's say if 10's a pass, 11's a fail, and you have 11 points, guy's probably going to help you get that last point to pass. So he's he may say, "Is there anything up there you want to tell me about?" I would go through the in cab again, because obviously if you're out here, you already passed the brake test, but you missed something from the brake test to the tail of the truck, right? So I'm going to think real hard. Did I get the bulbs, or did I say the fuses but not say how many fuses? How many do you need?
6.
6. Or I mentioned the triangles, but I didn't say how many or what color. How many?
3.
3 red reflective triangles, right? So you missed something. So he's probably going to probe you and say, okay, so you told me about the tanks. Is there anything else you want to tell me about? Anything else you want to tell me about?
The caps are secure and not leaking.
There you go. He's not going to tell you what you missed, but he's going to come real close to telling you what you missed. Does that make sense? Let's say that you're missing one thing. He's probably going to help you get that last point. If you're missing 15 things, he's not going to help you get 15 points. But he will help you get that last point to pass, okay? So he will probe you a little bit, which they don't have to do. They're doing that as a favor to you, okay? But if you're already outside the truck, you know it's not the brake test. It's either your in-cab, maybe your rolling stop, or maybe it's an engine-based something. Maybe you missed. We've had people miss the entire suspension components, or the steering components, or they go from the fluid straight to the tire and miss a bunch of shit in the air, right? So take your time, be thorough, and talk loud, because while you're in here talking, maybe you kind of lower your voice a little bit. He can't hear you. Talk loud, and take your time, because he's trying to find out where you're at on his test sheet, and how this sheet goes is not in order of how his test sheet goes. So he may be trying to, okay, well, he's talking about the fluids, but then you're rushing through it and you move on to the next thing. He doesn't know whether you got all the fluids or not. And if he didn't mark it, then he didn't give you credit for it. Does that make sense? Take your time and be thorough. All right. So I officially say that concludes my in-cab. Then what? Or excuse me, my pre-trip. Then what?
You'd move on to maneuvers, right?
What if he said you had 11 points?
Oh.
That's a fail, right? And that ends your day. But most likely, if you're 1 point too many, he may bring you back up to something and say, so you told me about the tire and you told me about the rim, but you want to tell me about this? Tell me about that.
Oh, that's the tire inflation stud. It's present. It's not cracked or damaged.
It's accessible.
It's accessible, and the cap is present.
And what else?
It's not leaking.
What else? How would you check it?
I would check it with a tire inflation gauge.
You could be as thorough as you think you need to be, but there's always that one more thing, right?
Okay.
So if he keeps on you and on you, what else? What else? What else? You aren't there yet.
Yeah.
That makes sense? So if I'm talking about that, my valve stem and cap are present. They're accessible. They're in good condition. They're not bent, cracked, or damaged. My cap is present, and I would check it with
Tire inflation gauge.
tire
and
pressure
it's
gauge,
not leaking.
right? And it's not leaking, right? So be as thorough as possible. Now, I know I took a long time to do this, but I'm taking my time on purpose to show you each and every little part, because there's a lot of verbiage here. There's a lot. So we're going to break it down piece by piece, okay? So over the next couple weeks, your goal, or my goal for you, is to get 100% to the steer tire. 100% without missing a single thing. And then you got 21 points of the possible what?
32.
32 that's on your checklist, okay? Which means you only need how many more?
10.
One more, right? And that means you missed 10, which is a pass. If you got 21 points and you got one more thing, that's 22 points out of a possible 32, that's a pass.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to do the rest of it. There's no way that you can fail, because you're already at 22 points. Now, they're not telling you this because they don't want you to know the whole point system. I'm telling you as a courtesy to you that if you get all the way to the steer tire, you're right around 21 points out of a possible 32. Right? So let's recap. The brake test is a point. There's 8 possible points on the in-cab, so there's 9, right? So keep track.
Right, 9.
There's 9. Your tug test is a point.
10.
Your rolling stop is a point.
11.
You ask the instructor to get out and do a exterior light check.
12.
Okay? Then you get out with the hood closed and you do your overview.
13.
Okay? Then you pop the hood and you do your fluids.
14.
Then you do your hose overview.
15.
Then you're going to do your steering gearbox.
Did I say 15? That's 16.
Then you're going to do your arms, rods, links, joints, socket. That's all 1.
17.
Then you're going to do your spring mount and your spring hanger.
18.
Then you're going to do your springs and your
19.
shocks. Okay? Then you're going to do your brake line.
20.
I
19,
thi-
20, somewhere in there.
18, 19, something like that. And then we missed the no visible leaks and doesn't lean left or right or front to back. That's another point. So you're like 17 or 18 at least by now, right? You haven't even started the tire yet. And that's another 5 or 6 points. So you were well in the neighborhood of 20, 21 points. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. I mean, see where I'm going with this? Is everything adds up. So if you can get solid to the steer tire, you're right in the neighborhood of 20 or 21 points. So get solid with that, okay? All right, let's stop filming.